Alrighty, it is currently, let me give you the time right now, and this is documentation of ongoing psychological torture. Linda Reyes and and every other employee. There's a housekeeper, and there is also the janitor or the maintenance dude, the overweight Latino male. You've seen him very much heavily documented, pacing under the fake sun that remains over this specific apartment building from the beginning to the end of the day. I just want you to see this is the crime scene, recognizing those that are living at a crime scene. You're going to federal prison. Those that are working at a crime scene, like Linda Reyes and everybody on the workforce employed by AVANATH Capital Management, they're all going to federal prison. And not only that, they're going to federal prison for gang stalking. While you are maliciously a state actor living and working at a crime scene, that level of intolerable facilitation is met with nothing less than default prison. Now, the third party that's gang stalking by amplified audible activity, and every time that she makes any movement, it's cracking the ceiling. That's as supernatural as this light. That's not the actual sound created by somebody walking. It's a demon that is gang stalking in relevant position. It's the systematic means of amplified audible activity, and the demon also does it with simultaneity to what it is that I'm doing. Now I want you to see that this is, because this is at the top of the door on the inside of a bedroom, and that's the front doorway over there. First of all, that's not sunlight either. The sun that's above us has light that's coming down at a downward trajectory. This is light that is reaching inside of a building, and it's also the shape of the screen door, so it's the object of the door itself flat on the ground. This is engineered light, and then you have what is just inexplicable light that's just appearing on the top of the door. And also, as you can see my shadow as I raise my hand into it. So this is engineered light, so you can see my hand illuminated. This is not sunlight. This is where the entity is engaging in psychological torture, which RGS, okay, they're engaging in that. Everybody in relevant positions. So they're on the grounds engaging in gang stalking with AVANATH. AVANATH employees are going to prison. AVANATH employees are also going to prison because they criminally facilitate the pattern of conduct, while AVANATH is also criminally profiting. That's also relevant to the civil prosecution of AVANATH Capital Management, headquartered in Irvine. AVANATH Capital Management is going to be responsible for damages that the demons that pay them rent are paying, while that is criminal profiting, while they are monitoring with the people of the state who engage in surveillance. That's called crossing a path by a third party, where the fake sun is over the apartment building. It's the systematic means, just like the cracking walls and ceiling while you're moving around, the supernatural light, the supernatural occurrence of the fake sun remaining over the apartment building from the beginning until the end of the day, and the manner of what is the light activity. This is a means where the demon possessed, who are legally speaking third parties, they are state actors, not private individuals, and they're all going to prison. Not only that, they're engaged in federal stalking. And so this is understanding the impunity of AVANATH while I'm on my communication devices, which the state is monitoring. And the state is, remember, this is the state at Woodside Senior Apartments. These aren't private individuals, and they're over 55 and they're going to federal prison. All right. There's no respecter of persons, and there will be no different treatment under federal law. Not only are they engaged in gang stalking as state actors maliciously targeting someone at what should be a private residence, but it's not. It's a facilitating venue. The sun that is over me at Alvarado Gardens on this day in 2024 is not over Woodside Senior Apartments, and the sun will never be that which is staying over one apartment building for over 6 hours in the day in perfect alignment to me, nor is it going to create that sunlight at the top of in the bedroom door. None of this on the floor. It's also reflecting outside. I just want you to see outside. This is engineer light. Okay, so walking around in the parking lot, dragging the vac, this demon's monitoring. Okay, she's the same demon monitoring with the Ontario Police. She lives in the same building in units 49 through 64. There are demons on the opposite side of this apartment. They're going to federal prison. It's all one building, and they're acting in gang stalking with this demon that's in unit 55. So I just want to be clear. This is the light source. This entity is gang stalking and also engaged in federal stalking. So not only are they going to federal prison for recognizing the malice of an entity that is not a private residential area, this is the malice of the state that is monitoring through the people of the state, not private citizens. You've been stripped of any constitutional protections, and in federal court, you're going to be treated like the domestic terrorist that you are. And remember, they're gang stalking with the purpose of murder and kidnapping. The Ontario Police Department have already actually engaged in criminal kidnapping while they were monitoring. So this is the absurdity of the criminal conduct of the state. Paul Leon is engaged in gang stalking with the population that's monitoring inside of a private space. The ongoing sounds of sensational activity vibrating the apartment, ongoing amplification of all manner of noises, including booming and banging, as though the demon upstairs is bowling, throwing her body around. She's never sleeping, never abandons the living room, is doing so in the environment where the engineered light, which is speaking to surveillance, not a private residence. None of this is sunlight, and the entity entity is also not only engaging in monitoring, that's what I'm speaking of, they're also monitoring on communication devices. So this is the state that has been stripped of any constitutional protections regarding freedom of speech, or such as the right to live where you want. You don't have a right to live as a malicious state actor in a private residence engaging in surveillance with the state that has no warrant or probable cause and engages in that state. While the state is gang stalking in helicopters and planes, they've just handed over the people of the state. They're all going to prison as they're gang stalking with the state that has been fully documented gang stalking in planes and helicopters at this same venue where the fake sun remains for the duration of the day. And the placement of the light source is no explanation for what is engineered light piercing through a peephole into the depths of the apartment and also reaching above in the depths of the bedroom. But again, remember, it's the impunity and the malice, the ongoing, in other words, aggression and determination, that is the refusal to cease engaging in targeting an American citizen. Because as I'm documenting inside of this apartment, and as I continuously document, the people of the state are engaging in what is a uniform pattern of obstruction of justice. That is, the more that I document the ongoing pattern of conduct, the more that this demon with the bleach blonde who you see walking under the fake sun that lives in unit number 55, this one right here, she is never sleeping, she's unemployed, and she's gang stalking, engaging in corporate invasion of privacy with the state and on behalf of the state. She's engaged in monitoring my genitalia, monitoring my internet activity, monitoring my physical movements, monitoring what it is that I'm doing on all of my devices in violation of federal law, Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. And while the demon possessed are monitoring your thoughts, they're criminally monitoring, keeping under surveillance everything that you're doing on communication devices simultaneously. And that's the prosecution speaking to the enhancement of terms in federal prison, because the more that I document, the more that the demons engage in psychological torture. This is also relevant to the mental asylum that this third party, and you'll see in my documentation, I'm always pointing up because the demon is always stalking with amplified audible activity. It's become the simplistic means of identifying the demon's doing it again with regard to whatever it is that it's monitoring regarding what my conduct, whatever it is I may be thinking about, okay? This is state action, and this is the evidence removing the current demon Paul Leon from office. This is what he has been presiding over for 20 years. Public corruption. Public corruption on the basis of domestic terrorism shall be the necessary removal of the current mayor. And as I've documented, kidnapping by the police department in the city, that shall be the basis of what is disbanding and removal from law enforcement. This is no ordinary criminal conduct. This is not this is not public corruption on basis of smuggling drugs, which is also a horrendous crime. But I want to be clear, smuggling drugs and domestic terrorism by the government that seeks to murder and kidnap is that which is un-American, and it is under no circumstances that which is going to be tolerated, and you will be permanently removed from law enforcement, and in no jurisdiction in the U.S. will you ever be a part of law enforcement, and Ontario Police for kidnapping is going to be disbanded. That's a matter of justice. And Linda Reyes and everyone working at AVANATH is going to federal prison. They act with impunity as an entity. So the demon in unit number 55, she's not acting by herself. And by the way, I just want to be clear, the demon possessed are obsessed. They are more obsessed with the target individual than they are concerned with going to federal prison. That's the national security threat. That right there. And that's what I continuously document. And as I'm showing you the crime scene, this is engineered light framing the door. That has nothing to do with the sun that's outside. Remember, that's a light source, not the actual sun. All right, because sunlight doesn't create this, but just for purposes of identifying what it is that I'm referring to, that's the fake sun that I'm talking about. That which is over the building and outside of the apartment does not create any sunlight on the top just appearing out of nowhere. That's not sunlight. That's recognizing the crime scene and the impunity with which Linda Reyes, who if she's not a natural born citizen, she's going to be deported, and every other employee, including the demons that are gang stalking. The ones in units 33 through 64 are going to prison. The one in 55 is going to a mental asylum. The entity is engaging in criminal conduct which is attributed to the state, and AVANATH Capital Management, a gang stalking company, is going to be civilly and criminally liable. They will be prosecuted as a domestic terrorist as a company, a sex offender as a company, and they will be also subject to what are damages to compensate for the ongoing ceaseless psychological torture. Amplified audible activity is maintained inside of this apartment on a 24-hour basis. I'm kept physically under surveillance on a 24-hour basis. It is a perpetual sex offense, which is an egregiously violent sex offense committed by the government, which shall be recognized under federal law. That is, my genitalia is a matter of public information amongst the entity that is gang stalking, which is established as a matter of conclusive evidence based on the scientific impossibilities regarding the method of, the manner of, and, the maintenance of the environment where the entity is stalking in the demonic methods that I've mentioned. Stalking with light, stalking with audible activity, and doing so in manners that are inherently threatening to the life and the well-being of that target individual. The demon possessed are entirely mentally ill. well. This is a threat that's going to be relevant to the prosecution of the state, the public officials, and the people of the state, such as those that are living at a crime scene. That is, again, Woodside Senior Apartments at 408 West G Street. Remember, Alvarado Gardens at 1800 North Alvarado Street, and I'm documenting LAPD that's gang stalking on this day in 2024, January 30th, 2024. We're at the same time of year. At any time of year, never are you going to have the sun over Woodside Senior Apartments while it's over Alvarado Gardens for the duration of the day. Nevertheless, you're recalling what it is that I was doing 365 days ago. You can recall what I was doing last week and even in November before daylight savings time ended, because you will never have what is reconciling this environment where the fake sun remains over this building right here for the duration of the day, rise until set, which is a scientific phenomenon, is speaking to the prosecution of the entity that is ceaselessly using psychological torture while they are seeking to literally break down an individual before they murder them. So it's no small thing what the entity is doing inside of a private space. In every single apartment building, they're all going to federal prison. They can move away. They can move to a different apartment. You're not avoiding, you will not be excused from this prosecution or federal prison. And every single last one of them are going to prison for it. And they are acting on behalf of the government, who you've seen terrorizing me on an ongoing basis for years in planes and helicopters on behalf of the state, and not just in Ontario, again, outside of even the state of California, but outside of San Bernardino County either, where you have what is irreconcilable, the sun that's over this building for the duration of the day. It is currently 10:01 a.m. And as you'll recall, I just documented the other day, the fake sun is still over the same building at this location at 1:24 in the afternoon. So this fake sun's not going anywhere. I documented that in images. So just as a matter of the latest documentation, and the sun being outside over us, because it's not adjacent to the door, it's not adjacent to the peephole, it's not going to be sitting on a roof all day long. It's also not over Alvarado Gardens. This is all that which is mutually exclusive. This is the documentation of the prosecution of the people of the state who are going to federal prison for the intolerable facilitation of federal group stalking and monitoring with the city of Ontario, that is the state of California, that has no lawful interest, no legitimate purpose to be interested in my genitalia, to be interested in what it is that I'm doing on my communication devices where I've committed no crime, and there is nothing that they have any constitutional bases to be invading in, and that's exactly what they're doing through the people of the state. There is no basis whereby only the demon in Unit 55 is going to prison. It's gang stalking, it's a corporate criminal act, and all of the entity that is gang stalking together is going to federal prison together. That is the employees of AVANATH and the demons that are living at the venue. Okay, it is currently, again, 10:02 a.m. where you're looking at engineer light that is piercing through a peephole. All right, that's a scientific impossibility in the same way that the sun is not going to remain idle, contrary to what I document. Okay, 3.5 hours from now, the fake sun has gone nowhere. It's in the same position. You can look at the images that I just captured the day before yesterday. I believe that was October. I believe that was January 29th at 1:24 p.m. Nonetheless, you'll see that captured in the screenshots that I captured today. I continuously reference what I already documented because there is a complete record and established federal case for the prosecution of the entity at Woodside Senior Apartments. These are the elderly, these are domestic terrorists, and as you are learning and witnessing, there is no difference with regard to their age. They are fully engaged in what is a lethal and treacherous crime against an American citizen, inhumane in every regard, and they also do so relentlessly with a refusal to cease to engage in it, and that is directly the criminal conduct of the state. Okay? I want to repeat again, everybody in Unit 3, as clearly as you see this impossible light magnified on my hand while I'm looking at the peephole, the demons at Units 33 through 64 are all going to federal prison. This is P.O.C.